All right, so today we're going to talk about ENTJs and ENFJs. The reason being that they share the same tertiary and auxiliary function. I do think because they're extroverts, sharing the same tertiary function is important to understand in understanding the development of both types. And when you recognize how both types seem once they've developed introverted intuition, it makes it clear why it's important to realize how they're functioning from the extroverted standpoint. Because early in life, that's how they are functioning. They're using an extroverted decision-making function and an extroverted perceiving function. And it's actually, for their sake, it's beneficial. It gets them through, I think they accelerate through the early stages of life. They're meeting objectives, they're adapting to those objectives. These things are like good grades, playing sports, getting a license, getting a job, getting an education beyond high school and things like that. They're going to accelerate through those. But the problem is that they're not introspecting through that. And they openly, many I've talked to, will openly say it's hard for them to introspect because they're focused on the external objectives and adapting to those. There's also benefits to it because they're willing to put in the hard work. When it comes to like new environments, they're going to find it very easy to fit in because SE is taking in all the information of what they have to do, and they're either looking to be effective with that information or create some kind of harmony with that. So they're going to be quick to fit into almost any space that they need to be in. It's why they can operate different types of business, because they are really adapting to that specific business. They get even better at this when they develop their NI and they begin, basically they can start documenting how they get things done and bring it from one place to another. This is why a well-developed ENTJ or ENFJ may have several different ventures that they're going on. Now with the, going back to the SE and extroverted decision-making, I think that early in life, you're going to see them really pick up a skill. And if they can start utilizing their introverted intuition, they're going to quickly realize how they can take that creative skill and make a practical solution, which allows them to create that objective circumstance they want. Because the problem is that early in life, the objectives are given to us. They're very easy to meet for these types, but I think at some point they're going to want more. It's pretty obvious from any ENTJ I've seen. They usually get through all the objective realities past college and whatever they're doing. They get a job and then they usually want more. And I'm going to be honest, past 25, there's not many objectives that are just set for people. I would say becoming a business owner has become one of those things, and any of the ENTJs I've worked with have moved on to that. But even beyond that, I think there's more that ENTJs will be able to find if they start using their introverted intuition. Because if they're not using their introverted intuition, their SE also plays a role with their trickster function, which would be introverted sensing, which would be them kind of getting content. It's not even really like managing things anymore. It's just becoming content with where they are because it's their trickster. So you really want to make sure you're incorporating the NI, because I do think that later in life, if you allow yourself to maintain functioning in that trickster archetypal pattern, then you may find regret. And the reason it's so easy for ENTJs to find themselves in that trickster function is because what they do at a young age is, it's so much, and I think that society can put pressure on them to stay in that role instead of, accelerating beyond the normal capabilities. Nobody really wants to see anyone excel. I've always said that. So no one's going to push you past that acceleration. You need to find environments that are just going to that you're going to naturally be able to accelerate like that. SIs, if you get trapped in that trickster function, nobody's really going to tell you, hey, get out of it. And I don't think right away, because you're not looking to introspect so much, you're not going to notice it, and it might be later on in life that you're going to say, oh, I wish I did something. I think this happens with a lot of extroverted decision makers, just because their goals are easily laid out for them from a young age. But I do think at some point there's not really objective goals, and you really have to start creating your own. And just because of how driven ENTJs and ENFJs really are, I think it's really important that they start developing their own goals. And then you'll actually be able to utilize that SE and TE in such an advanced way. I've seen it. When I've seen NI develop in either of these types, I've seen a better control of like emotions and thoughts, because they're often in conversations, they're often quick to cut people off at a young age because they're so into that conversation. It might be just for clarification, but like even with ENFJs, once I've seen them start developing in NI, they actually control those impulses during conversations. They realize that they have to set their own objectives. That's one of the biggest things, is realizing that. So they'll actually begin to ask for help in how to implement that. So, and in simple things, a lot of times, like the list building, documenting your own process, because what I've seen with them is a lot of times they don't know how they got to where they are. They do, but they don't understand that other people might not understand it, and they might not be able to explain it to them. So getting into some kind of NI, and that's why they can bring one system to another company so easily when they have that NI, and retrain it all over. And usually they're training the people that they're delegating. So that's something else to consider, is that you want to consider delegating, because both types will take on all the work for everybody, just to make sure they're reaching that objective standard. There are better ways for you guys to be doing it. I know it doesn't always seem like it. It's a lot of hard work. You put in that work, which you guys are willing to do. You just have to find the path, and you're going to be a lot more satisfied later on with those objective realities that you guys create. And yeah, that's pretty much what I have for you guys as far as that. But I do kind of want to just go into each individually, explaining how they might act in different situations when they're early in their development stage, and operating from that SE, tertiary, and dominant extroverted decision-making function. So like in confrontations, you might see the ENTJ, they really do enjoy intellectual sparring. They like to point out flaws in arguments just as much as INTPs. I actually do relate a lot with ENTJs. I have ENTJs that I work with, and friends that are ENTJs in almost every environment I'm in. And, we kind of click because I don't know, we just always do. It's like we're kind of drawn to each other, and we talk to each other about whatever that environment is, and it just clicks. And we do kind of give each other our own opinions, which aren't always agreeing, but it's like we're willing to have that conversation with each other. I think that a lot of times we come to the same conclusions as well. Anyway, with the extroverted feelers, I think you're going to see them really, they try to avoid confrontation if they're using the FE-SE axis only. They also are hard to want to argue with once you realize they don't want to argue with you, because they express that emotion. And it's usually, I would say, it's really, they don't have to say anything. It's a physical thing that they put off, that you kind of realize that they kind of get quiet. And yeah, FE is not all about just extroverting your feelings. It's about really maintaining harmony at however that is. It's an effective way of maintaining harmony. Any extroverted decision making is effective in what its objective is. So anyway, in just a general conversation, I would say your ENTJ, they come to a conversation with the topics they want to talk about. And it might vary from one group of people to another, but they understand what topics they want to bring up with those groups, and they may repeat them throughout different conversations with the same groups, because that's an effective way to make sure that the conversation is held. I think with your FESE users, they're going to kind of be more willing to follow along and hear other people's storylines, and then they're going to kind of either be quick to try to gain clarification. So they might cut somebody off for that. I said that earlier, or just provide opinions, and it might be blunt. It might be like, "Are you an idiot?" Like, it's depending on what the person is expressing to them. Developing some kind of NI might allow them to already know what the person's going to be expressing, so maybe they don't have to come off so harsh. Because if they're judging you, it's very judgmental. Anyway, but it's kind of funny. My wife's an ENFJ, so it's okay. Anyway, for leisure, your TESE users is going to really be willing to mix it. It's effective for them. You know, if their friends are willing to be part of their work, that's cool. And then your FESE user is really going to, when it's time to relax and have harmony, they want to relax and have harmony. When it's time to be outgoing and get things done, that's really what they want to have a social environment. One example of this I just want to point out is like when my wife started her hair company, she made it clear to me that she needed to have renters there. She didn't want to have this building standing and have to work alone in the building. So we found a way to make that work, but that's just how she wants her work environment. So yeah, like there's because of that SE, you can see a lot of similarities between the two. You can understand how they get to the places they get to and how they get stuck in some of the positions they get in. So I just wanted to show you guys some of that. You know, you guys are like two of my favorite types to work with just because of the competitiveness and aggressiveness towards getting those objective realities met. And I often do need help in both of those areas with the TE and FE. So you guys are some of the best teammates I have in business all around, even if it's not working with you guys in business directly. So I hope you guys enjoy. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you did, and I'll catch you on the next episode of Cognition Ignition with C-Class.